3, 2. Hey everybody, welcome back to Wrestling with the Future. Your host, Psychic Mean Angelo, here along with the guru who knew, the encyclopedia of pro wrestling. He is Jeff the Ref Robinson. Hey Jeff, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you doing?
Oh man, Jeff, it's been a busy week for us, man.
Really has.
Ladies night. Tonight it's the boys club tonight. Just the boys are here. And we have one of the best. I'm going to introduce my guest tonight. He has made his mark and then some in the world of pro wrestling, and the guy's not even a worker. From his days at ECW to founding Ring of Honor to reinventing a genre that was all but lost in pro wrestling, the shoot video genre. Our guest is none other than Mr. RFVideo himself, Rob Feinstein. Rob, how you doing, baby?
Good, man. I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure to have you. You know, at the intro, I'm going to get right into it because I talked about this lost genre called the shoot video interview, the wrestling shoot. A lot of people credit you with, quote, inventing it. It's been around a long time. What I think you've done, and I'm going to say this to you on the air, sure. I think what you've done is redefined the shoot video. I think the fact that your genuine enthusiasm for the business and your likability factor and the fact that you have tremendous goodwill with the boys made for a lot of headway. You got names that nobody could get.
Yeah.
So the kudos to you, brother.
Thank you.
So how did you get started in all this? And I guess really the story has to go back to your childhood when you were a kid as a fan?
Yeah, I was, I guess, 9 years old when I first discovered wrestling on a Saturday morning. I was watching the cartoons like I normally would, and I would flip through the channels. And I remember like it was yesterday, I saw a promo with Andre the Giant and the Strongbow brothers. That was my first glimpse of professional wrestling. And I'm like, wow. Who are these larger than life guys? This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's
incredible. Now, you being a Northeast guy, you're from Philly, we should say.
Yep.
Okay. And so you grew up with Vince Sr.'s product.
Correct.
Did you watch any of the other products that we had? When did you get cable? Because I was able to get, of course, WWF and then WWF. And I was able, and I don't know if you were a fan of it or not, but I was able to get the UWF and also NWA.
Yeah, that was in like 86. But I got cable probably in 83, and the only thing that was on my cable, to be honest, on Saturday mornings was WWF, and that was it. There was no NWA until around 1985 in Philadelphia, and I remember that day exactly, like how I discovered NWA, like it was yesterday. So,
were you, Rob? Were you a Civic Center guy?
Oh yeah, I went to the Civic Center as soon as they came around, and it was the best.
I got a quick question for you, Rob. Knowing that you had the NWA, that you're originally influenced by the WWF, and then the NWA. When the NWA got introduced to you, and as you said, you won't forget it. You never will forget it. That was actually what I grew up on, was Jim Crockett Promotions, NWA, Mid Atlantic. So, would you say you preferred that over the WWF? Being a northern guy, that's kind of odd to hear.
100%. I preferred NWA over WWF. I love the product. It was real to me.
Yeah.
You know what, Rob? I'm going to stop you right there. That was it. It was real. It was believable.
And that crowd heat when they would do Saturday morning TV tapings.
Oh yeah. Amazing. I will tell you, Jeff. Jeff, if you're not familiar with the Philadelphia Civic Center, it was, and Rob will tell you, it was the perfect wrestling venue.
It really was.
It was perfect.
They
used to put 14,000 people in this place, standing room only. It was unbelievable.
I have heard the stories. I have seen of course, the arena shots and everything. Unfortunately, I never got to go there. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. Norfolk Scope is my home arena.
I've been down there.
Actually, you with ECW, you were down there in Norfolk at the Boathouse.
Yep, I'll never forget that show. Yep.
Either will Jeff.
I was there. I was there actually, and I helped set up the ring that night, trying to get a spot on as a referee. Due to my affiliation with the Dups and CW Anderson, they kind of got me like as far anyway, that I tried and but they didn't have a spot for me that night. But hey, at least I was it never hurt to try, right? So but no, I was gonna ask you really quick when you were talking Philly, were you I have to ask this, 1986, were you there during the infamous Midnight Express Rock and Roll title change in Philly? Were either one of you there actually?
I was.
Yeah, I was there. My buddy filmed. Yeah.
Wow.
I was there, brother.
Yeah. We would film the shows from the balcony. Well, I didn't. One of my really close friends filmed all the Civic Center shows, and that was the night that you're talking when Tully and Aaron lost the belts, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we were at the hotel earlier that day, and I'll never forget. Tully was a little bit drunk that day, and Aaron was there, and I know they just had the big falling out with NWA. And Tully wouldn't come down from his hotel room. They were running really late. I remember there was a lot of shit going on at the hotel because Tully didn't want to go and do the job.
Rob, let me give you a little heads up about that. Because Kathy Fitzpatrick and I talked about it last night. And you know Kathy, right?
Oh, yeah. I've known her since I was a kid.
Kathy literally, Rob, lives right there across the street. She lives across the street from me. Right. Okay? And she was here in person last night. We did ladies' night last night. And Kathy and I talked about this. I rented the bar that night at the Philadelphia Airport Marriott.
I was at the Marriott every week. I mean, not every week, every month.
Every month, yep, we sure were. And that night was infamous for a couple of reasons. It was of course, the infamous falling out.
Yep.
But it was also the night that my friend Tony the Tiger DeSimone got into a full-out fisticuffs with downtown Denny Brown.
Wow.
At the hotel bar. And it took one gentleman named Ric Flair to put the kibosh on everything. And that was the first time I saw Nature Boy in action.
Wow.
In the bar.
Yeah, I used to go to that hotel every month they were in town. That's when I found out where the guys were staying. And that's how I started getting pictures with the guys and getting friendly with the guys. And I would sneak into the bar and get kicked out because I wasn't 21. The security hated me at that hotel.
He sounds like me.
That was a great bar, though. It really was.
I used to go to the Norfolk Airport Marriott because I knew that's where the guys were going. And same exact thing, Rob. I mean, going there, showing up, trying to meet them, trying to, whatever. And now I got to, sorry, I mean, I'm going all over the place here, yes. But what led to you getting affiliated with ECW and eventually becoming you were their camera guy from show 1 on.
All the way until the end. Well, I knew Paul Lee from NWA and WCW days, from going backstage at the NWA. I've told the story a zillion times. Rock and Roll Express did a Joel Goodhart luncheon, got friendly with Ricky Morton, and I told him that I had a lot of his Japanese tapes. And he told me to come to the show the next month and bring it to me to get me backstage. Well, that's how I started meeting the guys. I would go backstage every month after I met Ricky Morton and got friendly with him. I knew how to get backstage through the door, so we did it every month, and they thought we belonged there. It was great. Yeah. And then I started driving the guys back from the arena to the hotel, to the Marriott, and I got friendly with the guys. So remember John Clark? He did a convention in Philadelphia with Curry Von Erich was there.
Oh, God, yeah, sure.
It was way back in the day. Well, Todd was at the convention, and Todd came up to the table. And Todd bought some videos off us, and he told me he was starting up a wrestling company called ECW and asked me if I wanted to be a vendor at his show. So that's how I got connected first with ECW, was just setting up at the merchandise stand, basically, at the show. And Eddie's
I'll tell you a funny story about that.
Yeah.
I had a television show in Atlantic City at the time called King Arthur's Wrestling Roundtable. Todd and Hat, Sandman.
Yeah.
I'm breaking kayfabe. Sorry, guys.
No.
But Todd and Sandman, for the record, my show was the first non-wrestling, non-ECW television they ever did.
Wow.
Was my show. And I remember he had the kendo stick that night, and he was swinging it around the studio. And I'm interviewing him, and all of a sudden, in the middle of his shot, bada boom, comes the kendo stick. Right across the fart. I went back. Todd literally grabbed the back of my chair and pushed it back forward. I was heading backward. But no, it's funny because, we attended a lot of the same events together. And you and I have only run into each other, I think, twice. I met you twice. Introduced to you twice.
Where at?
Despite the fact that, I met you for sure backstage at the Civic Center, for sure once. And I met you at the bar for sure once. I'm thinking, I want to say 85, 86.
Amazing.
I'm wanting to say 85, 86. Here's what it was at the time. I knew, Larry Sharp was always a good friend of mine. And Larry was, whenever NWA was in town, Larry would go back and say hi to some of the boys that he knew, right? And one of the guys Larry trained, of course, I mentioned his name just now, is Tony the Tiger DeSimone. He and Bam Bam were going through about the same time. And that night, for lots of reasons, I won't forget it. But I remember meeting you. You were just, your hair was a little
long,
full, a little fuller.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot more of it, of course.
Yeah.
But I remember you being the cameraman for ECW. And when I saw, because when I used to go to the shows, I saw you running around with your camera, and I didn't put two and two together. And I'm going to be honest with you. It never dawned on me that you were the same kid that I met way back then.
It's crazy.
So how did you get picked up as the camera guy?
Well, it's
just from Paulie?
No, it's actually more than that. I wasn't working for them. I was paying them to be there. So yeah, I basically started asking Todd when we were selling merchandise at his shows. I sell videotapes. I want footage. I said, let me, film your shows and I'll give you guys X amount of dollars. And Eddie Gilbert was booking at the time. And Eddie basically was on his way out after the Ultra Class show. Paulie came in. Todd and Paulie had to have a meeting about it to get the green light. And then the next day, I got a call from Paulie and we did our deal and I was off to the races.
Wow.
So you were there from the first show to the very end.
I was there from the very first show until the very last show.
The last show was in Indianapolis, right?
Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Okay.
One of them.
I've heard. I thought I had heard Indianapolis for some reason, but
yeah.
So you grow up a wrestling fan. Had you ever had any desire to be a worker?
100%. I did some stuff down in ECWA for Jim Kettner's company.
Sure.
Yeah, we did a couple battle royals and some other stuff down there. And, I've wrestled a couple other things and, here and there. But I was making more money behind the scenes and not taking bumps. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my biggest regrets. I tell Tommy Dreamer this all the time. I have a gift for gab. I know how to talk. And that's one of my biggest regrets is not getting trained properly and following my dream. And that's one of my biggest regrets.
Well, I don't think you have anything to regret, young man. You seem to have parlayed your versatile camera into a little bit of a fortune here.
Yeah.
So it worked out well, and you didn't have to kill your body in the process.
Exactly. I mean, I still like it, but it is, I'm not.
Well, I know that in ECW you had when they did the BWO, you ran around with the camera.
Gimmicks and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. That was one thing I remembered watching you do. Now, I got a question. Who was your very first shoot? That I do not know, and I'm sure you've told that plenty of times.
No, I know. I'm actually confused about all that. I don't know if it's Sandman or Bill Alfonso or New Jack. It's one of those three, and I honestly don't remember because it all happens so quickly, and I just never wrote dates down, so I'll never know.
Okay, now, Jeff, are you asking Rob what the first RF shoot was?
Like the first one that
or the first wrestling shoot?
No, the first one that he conducted himself, that Rob conducted.
Okay. So Rob, it's either what? It's either Sandman,
Fonzie, or New Jack. One of those guys.
Okay.
So
might even be Tommy Rich, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I will about fired up.
I will tell you that the first, what we call now wrestling shoot, was done by Larry Simon, aka Malenko,
Right.
the great Malenko, where he literally broke kayfabe in front of the camera and went into character and out of character, and that was done in 1974.
Was that the one that?
But here's the thing, though. There are people who say that Eddie Gilbert's shoot interview with you.
I did not do the Eddie Gilbert shoot interview. That actually happened before any of my interviews. And
okay.
I saw that interview, and I thought it was horribly shot. It was shot in like a hotel room.
It was very dark, Rob.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I could do this. And I actually got the idea from Wade Keller's Torch Talk, because Wade would do these interviews and, you know, the what was the newsletter? The Torch.
Pro Wrestling Torch.
Yeah, Pro Wrestling Torch.
Pro Wrestling Torch, yeah.
I don't know why. Sorry, Wade. But yeah, I saw Wade doing all the interviews and stuff, and I was like, I need to do this on video. And that's where I got the idea from. So,
wow.
Now,
so
go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was gonna say, but you had already seen the Eddie Gilbert shoot, and then you.
I heard about it. I did get a copy of it because I was tape trading, but
okay.
And then I watched it. Yeah.
Let's talk about that a minute, because Jeff in the early days, you know where I'm going with this yet. This tape, see, I'm a little older than both you guys, so I guess I grew past the tape trading thing. What was that all about?
You know, it was amazing because
give me a heads up into the mind of the tape trader.
If it wasn't for tape trading, I would never be in business today, and that's 100% shoot. Basically, you would get the after magazines and you'd read about all of these different territories all over the country, continental, Florida, Memphis, Texas, where you have it. All we got up here was NWA and WWF. So I started getting smart to the business from the Wrestling Observer. And back in the day, Dave would have the readers page. It was one of the, I guess, page 8. People would trade tapes. Guy in Memphis would say, hey, I got Memphis. I'm looking for Texas. I live in Florida, and I'm looking for Northeast MSG stuff. So I started like corresponding with all these people through the readers page, and I started trading tapes. And I just built up a huge collection. And after, I'd say, a good year or two, I started selling the stuff, and I was known as the guy to pretty much get everything. I mean, I was getting everybody's TV, everybody. And I would trade a guy down in Memphis Florida stuff that I got from a guy in Florida. So it was just, I was getting everything. Japan, you name it. I pretty much have everything from the 80s.
Jeff, did it work that way for you, Jeff?
Oh, definitely. It was the same. It was the same thing. I learned about it through the newsletters, and mine was through Georgianne Macropolis. That was the newsletter I was getting.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, Chatterbox. And that's actually how I learned about RFVideo and what Rob had going on there with, because, and then, you know, like he said, it was, you read about these territories in the aftermags in the 80s, and you grew up wanting to watch them, and then you're going, there's got to be footage out there somewhere. Somebody's got it.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Rob putting together, and I don't know if it was Rob or conglomerate of other people, but the compilations of the best ofs of the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnights, the Fantastics, Tully and Arn, all, you know, best of them in Japan, to whatever. That was really what drew me into getting Rob's stuff, was a lot of the best ofs, because I knew I was going to see stuff that I had not seen anywhere else. And
Rob, were there certain territories across the country that were hotbeds for tape traders? Philadelphia, I can imagine, was probably one.
Oh, yeah.
The New York, Philadelphia market.
And Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Especially like the indie shows that Dennis Caraluzzo would be running in the 80s.
Oh, God, I knew Dennis well.
Yep. A lot of the big indie shows took place. They were the hot stuff that people wanted. Really wanted.
The big one that was going around for the best of 3 between Cactus and Eddie Gilbert that they did at the indie show.
Yep, 100%. That's tape number 284, and I know it by heart because I made it so many. Seriously, if you guys have my catalog out there, check out number 284.
That's funny.
I used to have all your catalogs. I mean, like they were like my PWIs. I would look through them and I'd be like, man, I want to have. And then it'd be like, okay, I got paid. I'm going to spend. So
I told you we're Feinstein marks here.
I will not. I will not lie, and I will say that. And Rob, I got to thank you for milking me out of about $3,000 worth of my paycheck from back in my day. I'm sure I paid a couple of house payments for you or something, but
he still has that $3,000 too.
Honestly, let me thank you as a fan. Thank you for your work.
Thank you for supporting us.
Because now I got a question for you. And I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times over. Yeah. Arn Anderson shoot that you sold me on, by golly. You did not tell me he kayfabed it.
I hated it.
Really?
Why?
Oh, that comes as a surprise to me, Rob. It really does.
Yeah.
Because I know that you and Arn legit are tight.
Yeah.
Or were anyway.
No, but why did you kayfabe it? No, I was gonna say why didn't you not I guess I know why you didn't, but why did you not give kind of the heads up that it was kind of in kayfabe?
I just didn't think it would sell, to be honest with you. I think people knew that, and I think people saw a different side of him anyway. I think nobody's ever really seen him not in full character because he was in character a little bit, but I wanted people to see a different perspective of him, and we are another one with Arn. We've talked about it very recently, and
that's the whole idea of the shoot is to catch the guy to reveal the person behind the character.
Yeah, I remember that.
Hold on, Jeff. That's the whole idea of the shoot, is it not? Right?
100%.
Now, Jeff mentioned Arn Anderson. I'm going to throw you one from my era. Bruno.
Great interview.
Okay, now, I knew Bruno. And there's something about me you don't know. You've heard a lot of guys mention the name Phil Zacco. Okay?
Right.
I'm Phil Zacco's nephew. Nice. Legit, shoot.
Right.
Okay? Bruno, in my opinion, and maybe you thought it was, straight legit, but Bruno kayfabed 90% of his interview with you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he did.
But Bruno never broke kayfabe. He always protected the business. Right. How do you do an effective, believable shoot with a guy who either A, doesn't cooperate with you, or B, can't cooperate with you?
I've had a couple interviews like that were just horrendous.
Walk me through them, Rob.
Our interview with Jimmy Snuka. Everything was good, brother. It was good. Pretty much that's all he would say about anything that I would ask him. He had no recollection.
Yeah, I have that interview. It's a horrible interview.
It was horrible. Terry Gordon.
I knew Jimmy. I knew Jimmy very well. He lived about 10 minutes from me.
Yeah. I mean, I had to ask him certain questions, and I was nervous about asking him, obviously, the obvious question about the girl. I was actually surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised he gave me an answer for that.
Yeah. Well, the other, and Jeff and I talked about this. I'm laughing, Rob, and I'm shaking my head here because I have to know. I have to know from you, okay? Billy Jack Haynes. Okay, you know where I'm going with this. Jeff is already popping. Look at him.
I know, I'm just laughing because
Jack.
What was the deal with Billy? What was he on?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Billy.
Brother, that was fucking nuts. Pardon my language. That was fucking nuts.
Which one? We've done like 3 or 4.
He's wearing the suit and tie.
That was the second one, I believe.
Yes. Where was his head?
Well, he has no shame in saying that he had a drug problem around that period of time. So,
right. The rumor was that he actually paid you for that.
No, nobody's ever paid me to do an interview with them ever. So I've never heard that before, but yeah, that's not true.
That was the scuttlebutt I got. And I thought, you know what? Hey, wait, I want to tell you something. If you can get a guy to pay you, take the fucking money, brother.
Go ahead. I had seen the first and the second Billy Jack ones that you had done. I mean, watching it and hearing his claims that he made were just like so far out there. I mean, like from the Benoit to the.
But it was very entertaining.
Oh, no doubt. No, he made for a very. Trust me, watching him and being under the influence of some spirits or whatever definitely made for an entertaining night.
Yeah.
But now, who would you say? Here's one for you. Who would you say is the one that you tried to get that you never were able to get?
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Really?
Yep, and that
would have been a good one.
Yes, and Kurt Hennig too. Those two guys, they were the guys that got away, and I was so close to getting Randy. He died 3 weeks after we started negotiating again.
Oh
yeah.
Man!
I used to send Randy boxes of our shoot interviews. I mean, like every week, I'd send him like 200 to 300 interviews. I gave him everything because I wanted him so bad for an interview. Yeah. And then we stopped talking for a good couple of years. And we stopped talking for maybe 2 years. And then I started hitting him up again because I asked Lanny, I said, do you think I'll get any leadway with me? He goes, you know my brother, you got to try him again yourself. Because I tried to go through Randy or Lanny and it didn't really work. And then I called him, we started talking. We were going to talk about money. And then 3 weeks later, he had the heart attack.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of my favorites, or one that I watched and that I thought was rather funny too at the same time, was the Rock and Roll Express that you did. It was right after Ricky and Ricky Morton and Kevin Nash had started their work together, trying to work.
Right.
And which God bless them for working that promoter for how much ever they got out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you know that story or not, Angelo, but Kevin made comments about Ricky on a shoot.
Yeah.
Ricky turns around on a shoot with Rob as well, says comments back.
Yeah.
Rob even puts that down in the comments. See what Ricky Morton says back to Kevin Nash on a shoot. They work it into where they pretty much kayfabed it, that they've made it seem like they have legit heat, to the point where a promoter in Northern Virginia paid them like $10,000 a piece to come in. And
I know that story, Jeff.
No, what I was going to say was, but that Ricky Morton, it was Ricky and Robert just sat there on the couch. And Ricky would be like, I got this one, brother. Hang on. I got the.
Yeah, and I'll tell you how I know that. Is I'm going to let Rob in on something too. I booked Ricky and Hoot here for a show in Williamstown, New Jersey. They stayed in my house for 2 days with no sleep, nothing but cigarettes, coffee, and Dunkin' Donuts.
Who's this, Ricky and Robert?
Yeah, Rick and Robert, yeah.
Okay.
I had them here for 2 days. No sleep, coffee, cigarettes, and donuts. That was their diet for 2 days. And when he was here, he let me in on that whole Kevin Nash thing. And I thought, brother, you guys are brilliant. That's old school work, and you don't see that shit no more.
You definitely
that
don't.
Was old school pulled into the modern day. Now,
I want to talk to Rob about that too. And here's the thing, and I don't know if you can answer this or want to answer this, but it's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
Have you ever been approached by a promotion to run an angle as a shoot, quote, shoot video, to work it as an angle between two guys to work it? Okay, you're shaking your head, yeah.
100%, and it just happened within the last 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I hit on something here.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's not going to happen. I tried.
I was going to say, Rob, I know a lot of people in the business, and a little birdie told me something, and that's why I asked you that question.
I was just hit up 6 weeks ago, and I'm not giving away anything because I don't think it's going to happen. So.
No, and I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So how did you parlay? Oh, I'm sorry. Jeff's got a question. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead. No,
go for it. Go for it.
No, I was going to ask you was Never mind, I forgot it. I go.
It's okay.
I just totally blanked.
Yep. Sometimes we have brain farts. It's awful.
Everybody does.
I had it, and it.
So how did you parlay this, all these tapes, this information, your contacts? How did you parlay that into RFVideo? When did RFVideo as a shoot company come to be?
I would say in 1995 when I got incorporated. That's when I started a year before with ECW, and we started getting big. And my dad was an accountant, and he's like, "You need to get incorporated and protect yourself." And pretty much incorporated myself. Started making actual real business deals. My father was helping me a lot of negotiations back then. But a lot of people say my dad helped finance the company, and my dad never gave me a penny. So this is all.
I was going to ask you about. I actually heard that story, Rob.
Yes, totally not true. I did everything from ground up. And I worked my ass off. So
I know you did. I know you did for sure.
Because the rumor is out there that your dad had pretty much funded you to get started from the age of like 15 on. So
we can honestly say we could put the kibosh on that one, because you're hearing it from Rob Feinstein himself. His father, his family gave him no money
other than just support and love.
I'm supporting you for sure.
When I lived at my parents' house and I was doing the ECW duplications of the VHS tapes, I took over a back bedroom that was a spare bedroom, and we turned it into a little studio. And ECW was doing so much business that when I would go out, I wanted a social life sometimes. I trained my dad how to load up the VCRs. He was actually like loading these VCRs every 2 hours when Summer Sizzler or Alter Clash or I don't know, barbed wire, choke slams, and hoodies was done. He knew the times of every VHS tape, and he would go in and switch the tapes for me.
I got to ask you a quick question, because you were there in ECW. What was it like the night that Kimona Wanalea danced on top of the ECW arena?
I was there that night.
Yeah, it was a night. I remember there was technical difficulties and nobody knew what to do. And then Paulie's like, "Kimona, get out there and dance and stall the crowd." So that's what happened there. So
I was there that night.
Yes,
that was a fun night.
Every arena show was an amazing night.
That video is now leaked out onto the YouTube, of course, and
I think they put it out on Street Warfare.
Okay, that was when it was. I still remember, like, for like 2 years of ECW TV, order the night that Kimona Wanalea danced on top of the ECW arena, and that was like the tagline. Now, I got to ask you another ECW question. We can go back into the shoot interview questions, all that, but. When ECW came here to Virginia, y'all were in Norfolk, you were at the Boathouse, which I was telling Angelo, the Boathouse was a no-seat arena. It was all standing room other than in the bar area.
Yep.
What do you said you remember that night very well. Why is that? Besides the fact it was a crappy place to hold wrestling, but
I remember that night, and I'll tell you why. There was a magazine going around the locker room that night of a very famous WWE personality right now. And she was in a magazine, and she was with ECW at the time. And I think it was just discovered that weekend. And I remember that was the night that the locker room was passing around the magazine, and that's the truth.
and I know what he's talking about, and I will not mention her name.
Yeah.
But I think off camera, we'll talk about it.
I got stories about almost every ECW event. I can remember like different buildings, and I remember ECW was the best.
Well, I'll ask you the last one here about Virginia area was y'all did the show at the amphitheater, which is a concert venue of all places that normally seats 20,000 for a concert. That was insane to do one there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, who would have brought you guys in and put you there? I'm just curious. Was that Paulie or?
No, that wasn't Paulie. We had two people working for the company, a guy by the name of Greg Bagarozzi. I don't even know if that's his last name for real, but all the boys would call him Bagarozzi. And maybe at the time, Dan Colwell might have been helping promote shows, but I don't know if he was the Virginia promoter. But we had a couple guys that just went out specifically and would find the buildings for ECW.
Wow.
So, Rob, Jeff is asking you a question about ECW. Let me go there for a minute. I used to go to the shows often. In fact, the 2300 arena became like my second home.
Yep.
For a while. I thought it was innovative. I thought it was unique, different. It was fresh. There was nothing else like it. Why, in your opinion, and I really would, everybody's got an opinion on this. As many people as you ask, that's how many opinions you're going to get. Why is it then that ECW failed inevitably?
Well, you know, you got to blame the guy who was running the company at the time. And Paulie was a creative genius, but when it came to business, you know, that's a different story. And I'm not knocking Paulie because I ran a company and I see how hard it was with Ring of Honor and other companies that I've run and all my stores. And I think if Paulie had a business person that was in the company, like how, you know, Vince just had two guys or a guy and a girl actually, but if he had some business people in there that just dealt with business end of things, not wrestling, then I think ECW would still be around today. Paulie pretty much ran everything, and the boys ran the office, like Tommy and you know, other guys. And I think that was the biggest problem. The downfall of ECW was that everything was run by the boys. Was part of the downfall that they veered away from Joel Goodhart's original vision for ECW when Tri-State became Eastern Championship Wrestling? There was a certain, you know where I'm going with this. There was a certain, because you were around at the time. Yeah.
He had a certain vision. He brought in some of the biggest names, you know, even if he had to go into his own pocket, and he did often. And
Todd's pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Joel done anyway. Even I did an interview with Joel, and Joel even admitted, you know, how much money he was losing, and he promoted shows because he loved the business. I mean, that happens to us, you know.
Yeah, I was Joel's co-host for a while on his radio show,
Squared Circle.
Yeah, and I did that show for about a year with him. When Carmella left.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, remember Carmella? Yeah,
great. I used to go to Carmella's house, and her husband Paul. He gave me, honestly, this is a shoot. He would give me the first Memphis tapes that I've ever seen. I got from Paul.
Oh wow!
Yep, and the Crockett Cup, the very first Crockett Cup, I got from Paul.
That's amazing.
I want to thank you for actually putting that one out because I got the '86 Crockett Cup from you, Rob.
Yep,
so
that was one Crockett Cup that was never put out, and I got a copy of it from Paul, I think, and nobody had that. It was amazing that he had. I don't know how he got it.
That was, you were talking tape trading. That was one that people wanted to get right there, Angelo.
Rob, does Jeff owe you any money?
I'll take $15 for that. Plus, don't worry about the shipping and handling.
Oh, there's your pup.
Oh, you can see her?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, she's the best.
Pretty baby. Now I got a question for you, Rob. What ECW folds? What leads to you and led to you coming up with ROH and becoming kind of one of the founding fathers of ROH?
Well, there was a big void for about a year after ECW went out of business, and it was so depressing because ECW was the best time of my life. I mean, I had the best time with surrounded by.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm glad Jeff asked that because I was going to go there. I was going to, ask you, and actually I want to double down on that question. When ECW closed, it left a void for a lot of us wrestling fans in the Philadelphia area. Because we used to travel to the different venues, not just the arena, but the Lulu Temple, the Field House. Yeah. I mean, there was like a band of merry misfits that used to, travel from show to show. And all of a sudden then, Rob, we were left with, no place to go. So the Ring of Honor idea comes up. How and when? How far after ECW is laid to rest?
About a year, not even a year, maybe 9 months, because me and Doug were going to all the indie shows in Jersey and New York we were going to indie shows even during ECW, but most likely we were on the road with ECW, but here and there we'd go to Jersey All Pro shows. Most likely it would have been their shows, and they had so much raw talent there. And then when ECW folded,
and not to interrupt, was that Ricky O?
No, that was Fat Frank and Pierre.
Oh, I got you. Okay, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we started going to their shows in USA Pro for Frank Goodman. And they're the main two companies that we actually would go to in Jersey and New York area. And there was so much raw talent there that I got the idea. I was like, Doug, and we go to MCW down in Maryland. I was like, there's so much talent around the tri-state area.
Yeah.
I'm going to start up a wrestling company. We know the business. We know how to run shows. I actually ran 3 ECW shows myself. I promoted the shows at my high school, 2 at my high school. I did another one locally. So I was like the promoter for that. So, and I learned a lot from Paul. Like I was on the phone with him all the time. Let me let my dog out. Can you 1 second?
Go ahead.
I'm just
Sure, go ahead.
Pause for a brief intermission. Boom, bang, ding, ding.
So, basically, I learned a lot from Paul. Like after like the arena shows, especially after the arena shows, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, actually 3 o'clock in the morning, he would always call me, and he would ask me, "Hey, why do you think I did this? Why do you think I did that?" And this was constantly happening on the road too. He would go, "Hey, what do you think?" He would tell me and bounce stuff off me. For whatever reason, I mean, he was definitely my mentor. So a lot of the guys were, but I mean, I think that time for something in Philadelphia to be done. And I remember telling the office, that I'm going to open up a wrestling company. So
yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
No, please. So then you decide you're going to open it up, and you put out the announcement. I remember the press release when it came out that you guys were going to be opening up your company. In fact, I contacted you about coming in for a tryout as a referee. You said, unfortunately, we got our referees covered at this time. However, stay in touch with me. And then my ex-wife decided she put a kibosh on me ever having that dream again. So, but what I was going to say was, how long from the point of dream to reality was it? Like
it was quick.
Quick.
It was really quick. I mean, as soon as I told everybody, we started contacting all the guys that we wanted to, bring in. And from tape trading, I knew guys down from Ian Rotten's company and guys that were like top indie guys like AJ Styles and CM Punk and Colt Cabana. And me and Doug went down to Texas to work for Shawn Michaels had a company, TWA, down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we saw a couple guys down there when I was working for ECW that I wanted Paulie to bring in, like Michael Shane, American Dragon, and of course Spanky. These are all guys that I wanted in ECW, and for whatever reason, only one got in, which was Michael Shane. And I knew when I started my company that they're going to definitely, I'm bringing those guys in. So, I made plans. I bought a ring, and I had to go find a building, and we found the building, which was the Murphy Rec Center. So,
Rob, when you started your company, did you realize at the time the expense involved? Because I can tell you, having owned a company for 22 years, I actually owned NCW All-Star Wrestling for 22 years.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things you don't realize. You have a list of all the boys that you got to pay. The rent of the building.
Yeah.
You got to pay a couple of doctors, referees. Man, at the end of the night, when you're sitting in that room with all the cash and you're paying out the guys, and everything's checked off, there's like 15 other things you don't even think about. And
how many times do you have to go in your pocket because the cash is gone?
Exactly.
Yeah. People don't realize that, what we have to go through. I did a benefit show. It's quick. I'm sure you may have heard about the show I did. I did a benefit show for the 9/11 fund at the Sands Casino in Atlantic City.
Okay.
Snuka worked for me. Tom Brandy was there. I had Vader. I had a few names. They all basically worked for free, except for Tom Brandy. But I still love you, Tom. And I will tell you that, and now keep in mind, this is a benefit show to raise money. That show cost me almost 10 grand. It cost me $9,240 something dollars. Like say $9,200. That's what it cost me to raise money. Okay, so people don't understand the expense involved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you have to have doctors. And at the time, people don't understand this too. At the time, the insurance liability was off the chart.
Yep. You had the commission. You had the ring truck.
Yep.
There's so much that goes into a show. It's not, we're going to put a ring in a building and then it's easy to do. The fans have no idea.
And sell tickets.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I think it's probably easier to run a show down south, an independent show down south, than it is up north, because Virginia, we got the athletic commission down here. But once you go down to like North Carolina and things like North Carolina is hands off on as far as pro wrestling. It's anything goes. I mean, that's where I cut my teeth as a referee. And we would have guys coming in there and be like, "I'm 16 years old and I'm trained." Dude, you're 16. You're not even 18 and you want to get in the ring, brother. I mean, come on.
I remember when we used one of the Briscoes. We couldn't use Jay for a little bit because he wasn't 18.
Yep, that was on one of the in their first year. That was and then when Jay and Mark had their cage match and that oh my gosh.
Yep.
I mean, people want to talk about Cody and Dustin's bloodbath. They need to watch Jay and Mark's cage match. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So you guys, within 9 months, you got a little financial backing. You're off to the races. When was the first ROH show?
February 23rd, 2002.
And
no,
that was where?
We didn't have any backing. It was all my money.
Oh, you self-financed it. Okay.
Yeah, I self-financed it. I had wrestling stores all over the country. I had about 15 stores, and I opened them up during ECW. I mean, I had stores in California, Mall of America, Minnesota, Texas, Boston, New York, Philly. We were everywhere, North Carolina. And I closed all of my stores because the T-shirt business in wrestling was going downhill. So the money really wasn't there. And running stores in all different locations was very hard to do. People were stealing. So I closed the stores pretty much. And I was like, I'm going to close my stores. And I'm going to take the money that I was putting into the stores and, paying all the employees. I'm like, I'm going to start a wrestling company. So I'll close all my stores and I'll take that money to the Ring of Honor.
Rob, can you tell people listening to this and watching the show how important, how critical merch is to a wrestling promotion?
Oh yeah, it helps you. It pays your bills. So and that's why AEW is going to be a force to be reckoned with. In fact, I'm wearing one of the shirts right now. So,
I was going to take
note of that. They
make
make so much money with merchandising. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and people don't understand that without merch, you have no promotion. That's your advertising, especially if you're an indie company and you're relying on those shirts to be seen.
Yes.
It's expensive to buy television time. It's expensive to take ads out in papers. It's expensive to run radio spots. Wrestling merch, that's your walking bill. AEW should be paying you a commission right now for sporting their T-shirt all over the country right now because you're being seen everywhere.
Good.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to ask, well, you're talking AEW. Do you see AEW as kind of being the new ECW, ROH, that new?
100%. They're at the right place and the right time. WWF has just been getting eaten up on social media and the fans, and it's not even the smart marks; it's the common folks too. They've given up on the product, so to speak, because of whatever reasons, creative reasons. And AEW came around at the perfect storm and the perfect time. So
you just used a term, Rob. I'm glad you used it because you used a term that is credited to you, by the way, in case you don't know that.
What's that?
The term smart mark. They're crediting. I did my research on you, young man. People are crediting Rob Feinstein with the first use of the term smart mark.
That's crazy. I never did that.
Here's my contention. If you're smart, you're not a mark.
Right.
And if you're a mark, you're not smart. And what we mean is smart to the business.
Yes.
But we live in a time, and Jeff and I have actually done a whole show on this. The fans that are, everybody's smart now, okay? Vince, for better or worse, pulled the veil back. So everybody's smart to the business. We did a show last night. We had Princess Victoria on. And I asked a simple question. I said, is kayfabe dead and can it come back? And she said, yes, it's on life support, but it's not dead yet.
Yeah.
So where do you stand on the question of kayfabe?
Well, to me, kayfabe is dead. I mean, the only place you're going to see kayfabe alive is in Puerto Rico and maybe some other countries. But in the States, unless you're a young child or you are, I don't know. I don't know. I think most of the fans could see through the wool and know what's behind the curtain.
But wouldn't you say, though, that, like, to AEW's credit, they're trying to keep kayfabe to a point with Dean Ambrose or John Moxley and the
I give them all the credit in the world, because if I was running things, that's the way it should be done. The way he's wearing his patch out there, the guy's selling stuff. Yeah, I think they're doing a good job. Some aspects, other aspects. When he
was on board the Jericho cruise ship, he was walking around with the eye, his eye patched up.
That's awesome.
So, I mean that I think is an element. Kayfabe may be dead, but I think that element can still exist to at least make fans somewhat believe.
And it should be.
Yeah.
Rob, when was your parting ways with ROH? When and what was the circumstances of you leaving?
Of Ring of Honor? I sold the company. People think I was kicked out because of the incident.
Well, that's where I was going to go with that. Yeah, because that was, again, nobody. We love the wrestling rumor mill. When you don't know the truth, print the rumor.
Exactly.
So you're here, and so set the record straight for everyone.
Well, I'm not going to go too into it, but I will tell you that I never left the company ever. They said that I left the company. I was there all the way until I sold the company. I never was kicked out of the company. I quit and I sold it, and then I left because the people that I was working with I couldn't trust anymore. Half the people went with me, and half the people went with the money. And there was a lot of politics going on. A lot.
Is that when Gabe entered the picture?
No, Gabe was there from day one.
Oh, Gabe was there already. Okay.
Yeah, Gabe was there from the get-go. As soon as ECW went out of business, I gave Gabe a job because he was unemployed, and he was my friend, and he was very creative when it came to writing. So I had hired Gabe to do my website and to help write articles in my newsletter. Well, the updates, the tape updates.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Was he the original booker for ROH because he's credited with it?
It was me, Doug, and Gabe. It was all three of us.
Right.
It was never really.
So you had a hand in the booking then.
Oh yeah, I did a lot of ideas. The whole
okay.
Dreamer, CM Punk stuff. That was all me. We all got along. Me, Gabe, and Doug. We got along with our ideas. Doug came up with Special K, and he had a part in a lot of stuff. And Gabe did run the locker room. I'm not going to say he didn't run the locker room, and he did book a lot of the stuff. But it was definitely a team atmosphere.
I'll tell you one incident that in ROH.
I'll keep on going. I can hear you.
Well, the one incident that happened at ROH that a lot of people even is still debated to this day was the infamous worked riot angle that they did, and C.W. Anderson was part of it, and all because C.W.'s actually told me the whole story about it because I'm good friends with C.W. So. I mean, that's just crazy. Like, they had people in the audience that were workers.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do you care to blow the lid off of it or tell them?
Yeah, I mean, we worked a major angle, and that was probably one of our first big angles, too, for the company. And it picked up a lot of steam. A lot of people thought we had a real riot. And we did it so believable with the guys in the crowd and all, and the fans jumping up. It was perfect.
It did. I mean, that set the internet rumor mill off the chain. It set, just off and running. Now, I'm going to get away from this really quick. I got a bone to pick with you, young man.
Okay.
Here we go.
Where did you possibly get your Sting info from? Was it like Dave Meltzer for like 6 years? You claimed he was coming in at WrestleMania, and yet he never did.
I know. I always thought he was coming in. I really did. And I would talk to Dave all the time, and I don't think Dave could give me like that information. I talked to a lot of people. But
no, I was joking when I said it wasn't Dave, but
yeah, no, he was funny to be coming in a lot of those times, and I don't know what happened.
I mean, because it was the year that he came in at that SummerSlam, but that WrestleMania, you swore. I mean, to the day of. You were online. He's coming. He'll be here tonight. I
definitely thought that's my sources told me he was going to be there. So
I will confess, I lit you up on Facebook. I was like, "You're a lying son of a bitch."
I'm sorry.
No. It was all in good fun, honestly, and I think you even knew where I was coming from with it. But I just wanted to give. I had to rib you really quick about that because I know that I have seen where people will even give you a hard time going, all right, where's your news source on this one, Rob?
I get a lot of heat for the Sting stuff. So
yeah, because you had said something recently, and they were like, "Oh, is this like Sting coming in too?"
Yeah. I think let's clarify what you're talking about, Jeff, because you haven't mentioned it, but I will. because Rob is already, look, I have to address it, Rob, because you put it out there for the public to see. John Cena is going to be at WrestleMania.
100%.
Guaranteed, confirmed.
That's true.
But you never said
who.
But you never said he was going to wrestle.
He is going to wrestle.
Oh, we have a scoop. Hold on, Jeff.
Is that it's going to be Taker? Is that correct?
I don't think it is going to be Taker. That's what I asked, and I was told that it's not going to be Taker.
Well, who do you hear?
I honestly, it's up in the air. I haven't heard any names specifically.
Okay, let's go with this. What does your gut tell you?
Who do you think, as an educated wrestling fan?
Yeah, there you go.
Elias.
Oh,
I can see that.
Well, it would continue on from last year's WrestleMania bullshit.
Yeah. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that. And you know what? And it's believable, and I'd buy it.
Yeah, and it gives Elias the big rub. So
here, we'll go with a couple rumors.
Let me ask you a question about that too, because I want to talk to you about a little bit about underutilized talent, the talent that they get a lot of hype and a lot of press. Yeah, they make the big grandiose entrance, and then all of a sudden you don't see them anymore, or they're used very sparingly. If you're the educated wrestling fan, again,
I lose my power here, guys. I'm just letting you know my lights are flickering over here. We got a storm going on, so
got a snowstorm there, by the way, in Virginia. If you're putting your wrestling fan cap on, why is it that you might see why somebody wouldn't be used?
Well, there could be a lot of reasons that guys aren't used. It could be people in the office don't like the guy. The guy could be injury prone, and they don't want to invest in him. So there could be multiple different reasons why guys aren't being used, and the fans, and we could think he's amazing, but
that doesn't mean nothing to the office.
I like to get the different viewpoints from people. Jeff and I, of course, doing what we do, we hear probably too much of the rumor mill, quite frankly. So when we have a guy like you on who knows and is has been around, is educated enough in the business to offer an educated opinion or a smart opinion, I like to get it.
Yeah.
So Ring of Honor, you sell the company. Your hands are free of that. You throw yourself full into RFVideo.
Yeah, because you know what? When I was doing Ring of Honor, this is no secret. I was really letting RFVideo go to the curb. I wasn't doing many shoot interviews. I was pretty much abusing the company that got me to the dance. So I couldn't balance both. So I wanted to, trust me. But even before everything went down, we didn't get along. Me and Carrie, other people in the office spent money, and there was a lot of shady stuff going on. Even it all started a month and a half with one individual that's no longer even in the business, and he was the root of everything. And I'm talking about everything. So
I know a little bit about that story. I'll keep my I'll keep quiet on that for out of respect for you.
Yeah, a lot of the fans, they hear stories, but they don't know the truth. And there's a lot of stuff going on in our offices that led to that. And these people were 100% involved. So there's the speculation is that your first shoot was anybody from New Jack to to whomever, right? Yeah.
And I actually have a New Jack story. He stayed in my house for 2 days. Wide awake for 2 days, drinking nothing but vodka.
I can believe that.
And telling stories about how much he loves Jim Cornette.
It's not true, but go ahead.
Yeah. That's where I was going with that. That's why.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, on one of your shoots, they put the kibosh on it, or it was Sean Oliver's, one of the two.
Yeah, Sean, see, they walked in on each other.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Sean, Jeff, so let's go there. How much did kayfabe commentaries impact RFVideo?
Sean's a piece of shit. No, I'm just joking. Sean never really impacted us. I liked the competition because it actually made me look at my product a little bit differently and see where I need to improve. And it actually made me do some other things besides shoot interviews, where we expanded and we started doing face-offs, and we started doing other lines of shoot interviews on the roads. So I mean, actually, I welcomed the competition because it made us.
I enjoyed, and I'll tell you just from a fan standpoint, and I have quite a few of your RF shoots. Jeff's not the only one whose pockets you emptied, by the way. Okay. So, but I will tell you that I really enjoyed the on the road.
I loved the on the road.
Yeah, me too. A lot. The other single interview, and I'll tell you what it was, but I want to hear the story behind it. The other single interview you did was with, of course, everybody's perennial favorite, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, who I know was your friend, your buddy. He was a character, you know. Awesome. Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty was awesome. It's funny. He's one of the interviews that I watched today, and I don't want to watch it because I was horrible at doing the interview. I watch a lot of interviews from the past, and my interview skills in the beginning were atrocious. I think part of it was because I was still not a fanboy, but I was so nervous to be around some of these guys. Like, I went to Dusty's house.
Can I stop you there for a minute? Because I want to tell you something. You're pointing that out as a flaw. To me, that's one of the things that made you endearing.
See, that's good.
That because you came across as a genuine fan.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of the guys opened up to you, because they weren't talking to a stuffed shirt. They were talking to a kid. Because let's be honest about it. You're a young man.
Yeah.
You were younger then. Oh, I hit my microphone. You were younger then. But it was genuine. It was real, and it came across as genuine and real. And when you marked out for somebody, it was a genuine, feeling.
Yes.
So I would say that's not a flaw in my opinion. And to me, that's in the endearing quality. Your interview skills are very natural, by the way.
Thank you.
Because for somebody, this is what I do for a living.
Go ahead, Rob.
No, I was going to say, sometimes, like watching the Dusty Rhodes interview, I'm like, man, I should have asked some more in-depth questions. And I was not as smart to the business maybe back then as I am now. So I was like, I wish I could interview probably 50% of the guys again. With the knowledge that I have now of the business, I think the interviews would be a lot different. I have way more confidence in myself. Honestly, I was very nervous to do the interviews. In the beginning, I had Eric Gargiulo, who did a lot of my shoot interviews. And that was just because I just felt nervous one-on-one with the guys, looking at them. And eventually it became easy. And I regret it, my decisions not to do interviews early on.
I mean, honestly, they're larger than life. You grew up as a fan of theirs. So, of course, they are going to be a little bit intimidating to have them sitting in front of you. And their setting or an arena or wherever you would be conducting it at, a hotel, wherever it was, I can understand the nerves being there, brother, because
Jeff,
I mean,
Jeff, can you imagine having Dusty Rhodes in front of you?
I can't imagine the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, sitting there live and in living color, being there in front of me, telling me what his life was like as a booker for the NWA, and telling you all about my good ideas and where they came from, baby.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The Dusty Rhodes interview was really cool too, because I remember ECW was going on at the time, and I was talking to Dusty. He was asking how Paulie was doing, and I remember calling Paulie as soon as we left Dusty's house, and Dusty made a little comment that, tell Paul I said hello. I haven't talked to him. Talked to Paulie as we're going back to the airport. And he goes, "You think Dusty would come in?" And I said, we talked about it. And he goes, "Can you put together the deal?" I'm the one who put together that whole entire deal to bring Dusty in the ECW. And
are you shitting me for real?
There's a lot of guys. That's 100% shoot. And I had called Dusty.
Wow. Yeah. I never knew that, Rob. I never knew that.
Yeah, we connected him and Paul together, and I put together the whole deal for him. We did a lot of stuff like that with a lot of international talent. Doug was involved in with Tanaka, Tajiri, and Victor Quiones, and Mike. I don't think it was Mike Awesome. Definitely Tanaka, Tajiri, and Super Crazy. A lot of the guys.
Now, who did the ROH shoots that they did, the secrets or whatever they were?
They did that when we were done. I was done, and that was Gabe, and I hate Gabe as an interviewer. Sorry, Gabe.
Because
I agree.
No, he did one. He did one with Dusty, where Dusty actually had like his booking book from 1987 or whatever that was.
I think it was Gabe.
Yeah, that shit. I'll tell you what, that was the thing. I mean, just to like see Dusty's book.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is how many of those the old from Cornette on down, they all kept their old books.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I seen those books. Dusty showed me. They were in his basement. Yep, it was great.
Well,
I know the coaches even said
that I pointed out the Dusty Rhodes interview as one of my favorites is it came across as genuine. He was laid back. He was relaxed. I think the fact that he was home, he was in his home when he did it, added to his comfort factor. I don't think, you know what, Rob? I don't think that interview would have come off in any other setting had he not been at home.
Yeah.
And you seemed a lot more at ease. You seemed a lot more at ease.
Right.
You need to go take care of your dog.
Yeah. I'm gonna squash my dog now.
Oh, I didn't know if that was Rob or yours. I didn't know whose that was. So. Oh, okay.
No, that's Joe over here.
Now, knowing that you had Dusty like that, have you gotten to talk to like Cody on that kind of level? Like they even like.
Me and Cody have a weird relationship. I can't describe it. When he first got released from WWE, we were pretty tight, where I talked to him all the time, and then as he started getting connected with other guys, we kind of like distanced ourselves, which is just odd. But I gave Cody. I gave Cody a copy of that interview. Maybe about 2 years ago, he came into work for HOH when I was there with Tommy, and I gave him a copy of it. So, but I'm closer to Dustin than I am with Cody for sure.
Okay, now I got to ask you something really quick. We you know you're doing the shoot interview thing, and that's still a needed market out there, I think. High Spots has their own streaming network, which I know a lot of your videos are now over there.
Oh.
Huh?
I never heard of them. Go ahead.
But is there any chance that you are going to do a streaming site for RF, like monthly subscription?
No, we do. It's RFVideoVault.com.
Because I swear I went to go sign up. Honestly, I went to go sign up for it, and it was like only for like 3 days. I didn't know. Do you offer like a monthly?
Yeah. If you check out RFVideoVault.com, we do it. I think it's like $9.99, and it's monthly.
Okay, I'll have to relook into that because I mean I know that you got a lot of stuff that I would like to.
You see that, Rob? You're going to get another $10 a month out of Jeff.
Awesome. Yeah, and there's a lot of content on there. So
I have one more Dusty question, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jeff.
Sure.
There are people who've worked with Dusty, and we've had him on the show here, that range everything from Dusty was ahead of his time, to Dusty was a mad genius, to Dusty that had an ego the size of Texas. Talk to me about the Dusty Rhodes that you knew.
The Dusty Rhodes that I knew was amazing. He was another guy that I definitely looked up to as a mentor. I could call him, and when I did Ring of Honor, he came in for me for Ring of Honor, one of my first early shows, and did me a huge favor. I'm not even going to get into it, but I mean, when he came to ECW, we drove. Paulie's like, "You're driving Dusty. He's your guy. So you're driving him." I'm like, "Oh God, like that's a bad thing, you know?" So he was always awesome with me. He was just a big kid to me. He was amazing. He was definitely a guy you could ask. You could pick his brain, and he had stories after stories. When me and Doug would drive him around, he would call me Vince, and Doug Pat Patterson. He would call us Pat and Vince. So I loved Dusty Rhodes. He was awesome to be around.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, actually, I think you were actually on Sean Oliver's podcast, if I'm not mistaken.
I never did it.
Oh, okay. I thought you had. My apologies.
That's
Is there any chance that you are going to get into the podcasting realm?
I did a podcast last year. I did 2 or 3 shows. and I didn't have a co-host, and I wanted to continue it, and I still do it to this day, but you got to put a lot of time into the, I mean, I don't know, we can talk, but you got to put a lot of time into podcasting. And here's the thing, if I do a podcast, I want to be open and honest. I want to shit on the product if it's shitty. If it's good, I'm going to say it's good. How could I watch TV, AEW or WWE, and shit on the product and then try to do business with them? I can't.
Well, let me extend an invite to join the Wrestling with the Future podcast network.
I would love to do something with
Because,
Rob.
brother, if it's good, if it, and Jeff will tell you, and he's a WWE loyalist, but if it stinks, he's going to tell you it stinks.
Yeah.
And if it's good, he's going to tell you it's good.
I mean,
I
like
love the product, we love it, and if the product is horrible, we're going to shit on it, and we're not going to mince words, and we're not going to make any bones about it.
I also have my whole idea was when I started doing my podcast, about 8 months ago. Not only I was going to do a weekly podcast, and then I was going to do another podcast each week and just play old shoot interviews.
There you go. So, great idea.
I was going to do rap.
That would be kind of cool to be like, do like an old shoot. You do like inside of where you were, but yeah, and how the interaction was with that guest and whatever.
I like going to the guys' homes too. When we're talking about Dusty's house, I went to Vader's house in Colorado, which was just an amazing weekend. We did that on Halloween. I think it was like 1999. It was Halloween weekend. I had a blast. Mm-hmm. The best place I have ever been to for an interview was Don Morocco's house in Hawaii. It was amazing.
That was a great interview too, by the way.
Love that interview.
It was
awesome. Yeah. Who was probably the most difficult that you ever did one with?
Terry Gordy, and not because he was being difficult himself. He had a lot of health issues, and he passed away like 3 weeks after our interview. So he was in a really bad state of mind.
Yeah.
And, so just trying to do an interview with him was really heartbreaking, to be honest with you.
Have you ever done an interview where you had to pull teeth to get answers?
Terry Gordy and Snuka.
Oh yeah, Jimmy. Well, yeah Jimmy.
Because he said Jimmy
yeah, that was pretty much it. They're the two worst interviews in the history of the company.
It's good, but
yeah.
Well, I mean, I remember when you did the Shawn Michaels shoot, and it was right after he had been fired or let go from or quit, whatever you want to say from WWE, and then it was find out what really went down in that was the whole sell job and then he turns around, kayfabes that whole fucking thing.
Yeah, he definitely worked us too. That was. I would say him and Arn Anderson are the only two guys that ever kayfabed us. Like, I mean, a lot of guys kayfabed us, but I'm saying went out of their way to really work us.
Yeah, like purposely. Like
when you're watching the Shawn interview,
came across on the interview, you know what I mean? Like to the listeners, watchers.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels, you couldn't really tell because nobody knew the real story. So
no, it wasn't until years later when he came clean with it all that it kind of came. Now, who would you say, here's one for you, when you were running Ring of Honor, who would you say is that one talent who you thought had it that kind of let you down?
Do they let me down in Ring of Honor?
Yeah, like you thought maybe, okay, this guy's got star potential. I see a lot in them. And then when you brought them in, they just did not resonate with fans or whatever it was.
AJ
Good question.
Like, I don't see the big thing of AJ. No, I'm just joking. Everybody that we brought in delivered. There's other guys that were in Ring of Honor that should have went off and made millions of dollars.
Well, okay, give me some of the, who would you say? Like,
my head, Loki. He should be a millionaire.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that. I mean, I was sold on him from day one when I first heard about him, read about him, and then saw him there with ROH. That he was like an originator of like that strong style.
Loki was one of the first guys that worked for me.
Loki was a guy that I saw for Frank Goodman, and I brought him to ECW to get a tryout. And it got kiboshed. It was in Staten Island. Some of the guys didn't want him in the ring training and didn't want him in the spot, so that got kiboshed. But whatever. It is what it is.
What's funny?
Yeah, I had Loki on my Atlantic City show.
Did you get along with him?
I got along with him splendidly. I mean, I had nothing but admiration for the guy. He was the one. I will describe Loki in 2 words: disciplined and loyal.
Yeah, that's his gimmick, but it is what it is. I'm not going to say anything bad about the guy. I don't get along with Loki, so.
Okay, all right. Well, We won't go there then.
He was always good with me, and I'm, look, if Rob has his opinion, then Rob's got his opinion. I'm not going to say Rob is wrong.
No, worked with him there in ROH was
he seemed loyal. He was there every time I needed him, and I used him a lot. And he was extremely disciplined, at least working for me. Now I can't speak to the man's character with other promoters, but I can only, relate my experience.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, I was going to ask Rob what do you think about Teddy Hart? I mean, I know that he's been one of those characters. He was in ROH and he had some heat, and I mean,
Teddy Hart is awesome. He's another guy that should be a millionaire, and I've told this to his face, and it's no secret. Teddy knows. Teddy's mouth is, if he could glue it shut, he'd be a millionaire. But I love Teddy. He's he's one of the best out there. He's an amazing worker, and I get along with Teddy because I understand him. And a lot of people can't control him or whatnot, but I've never had any problems with Teddy. Even the first night in when he did the moonsault off the cage.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean that was a big no-no, and it was it was looked down upon, and he had a lot of heat on him for all that stuff. But after that all happened, I always got along with Teddy, and I still do to this day. I mean, whatever's going on with him, he's got issues, but everybody's got issues. So
right.
You were, well, I was going to ask you actually one name that's out there right now and or rumored right now is, where do you see Matt Hardy going? Do you think he's going to be behind the scenes with WWE, or do you see him making the jump?
I don't think you're going to see Matt in WWE again for a while, at least.
Do you think he's going to AEW? I ain't asking you what you've heard. I mean, what do you think? I'm asking you what you think.
I think he's going to go to AEW.
Okay.
We talked about that actually last week.
I don't know for sure.
No, I'm not.
Jeff and I have talked about this on our show, and we're of the same mind. We think that really he doesn't really have a choice but to go there.
I'll tell you this. This would be his best interest to go to AEW, because WWE hasn't used him at all from day one. They put the straps on him just because, it was, shock value. But they never used Matt for his mind. Matt's one of the greatest minds in the business, and he's the most creative guy. And if there's any company right now where he should be at, it should be AEW, so he could do whatever he wants. He'll have creative control of his own character, and he will be, even when he was in Impact and the character was first born, he could do so much more with it. I think if he does go to AEW, he's it's going to be awesome.
Rob, I actually said on our show that if AEW is smart, they'll bring Matt in and not use him as a worker. If they're smart, they'll bring him in as an agent or producer. Use him behind the scenes because he is so creative.
Well, I think they'll get mileage out of him even if he doesn't wrestle. He could just be a gimmick and manager or whatever, and who knows? They're saying that he can be with the Dark Order.
Like as a Billy Gunn or a Dustin Rhodes type character where you use them every now and then in the ring, but behind the scenes.
Sparingly, though, Jeff. They got to use him sparingly.
Yeah.
No body is breaking down.
Yeah, so, I think also that a lot of the people are thinking that he's going to be with the Dark Order, but that could be a big swerve. And I know Raven was just at the show, hanging out. So I could see Raven being the head of the Dark Order. That goes just with his character perfectly.
Raven would be, yes. I would love to see Raven over there. I think that he's got the mind and the creative mind to be, he's just an amazing man. We were talking about him before we even came on here. Yeah. And
I talked to Scotty a lot. He's going to be with me next week in Chicago.
Oh, now let's talk about that. What do you got coming up there with the big event that you got going on?
Go ahead. What were you going to say? Next week I'm in
where's
Chicago.
It at and all that? Go ahead, plug it.
Oh yeah. Oh, go for it. Sure.
There's so much stuff coming up. Like next week I'm at C2E2 with Kevin Nash. I've got Tommy Dreamer, Raven, and Road Warrior Animal will be there. The following week I'll be in New York for the big event. I'll have the Ascension there and Terry Funk. There's just so much coming up. I got WrestleMania weekend and our convention, Icons of Wrestling in Philadelphia, April 11th with Kurt Angle. So we got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I'll be there, Rob.
Is Terry Funk confirmed?
I'll be there.
He is confirmed 100%. We talked to him. I talk to Terry, no bullshit, every day. Like every day he calls me because just, he's always asking about the times and the flights and all that stuff. So,
Rob, how's he doing since Vicky passed?
He's doing as best as he could. I know he misses her dearly because we talk about it, but he's definitely staying focused.
Well, I know
was concerned about him because the last time I saw Terry, I didn't like the way he looked.
Yeah. Well, he was probably having the hernia operation around that period of time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I know that
some health issues.
Yeah. I know that when Vicky passed, he pulled out of a few, like StarCast and a few of the other shows that.
He canceled everything.
Yeah. So, because I know they hit him hard. That's why I was asking if he was confirmed for sure that he was going to be there.
We did interviews with him too. We did promos with him, and we put it up on Facebook with him talking about it.
He seems like a hell of a guy. I've never met him or talked to him, but I would love to, man.
He is a hell of a guy. He's almost. It's funny when you think about Terry Funk.
He's like my grandfather.
His character, right? You know his character, but he really is too nice to be in the wrestling business.
He's the best.
Rob, we're going to have to wrap this up here. So here's what I want to do. Tell everybody where they can reach you, what you got coming up, your website, plug all your social media.
Yeah, I'm going to plug our website, which our main website is RFVideo.com. That's where it all started. You can check out that for everything on DVD. You could check out our on-demand website where you could rent something and own it, which is rfvideonow.com. And you could download stuff and you own it forever. Then you could check out the monthly subscription website that we have, which is rfvideosvault.com. And then we have an eBay store, which is located on rfvideo.com on the side. There'll be a big link to our eBay store. And today we just started with another gentleman, a T-shirt company, and you're going to be hearing a lot about it. And we are actually paying the wrestlers directly from sales. So everybody that's on our website is getting a cut of the profits.
Wow.
That's a great segue. That's a great segue because Jeff the Ref and I actually have our very first merch. We have our Wrestling with the Future T-shirts.
There you go.
So what's the chances of me selling our T-shirts on RF Video?
100%. We'll talk as soon as we get off here because it's not RF Video. It's going to be this is the website to go to. It's chairshotstees.com. And again, it's it's a chairshot and then tees.com. And
now that's the one that just launched today, right?
We launched it at 8 o'clock. You want me to tell you some of the guys who are on it so far?
Go for it.
Yeah, sure.
You guys are going to love it because it's all Philadelphia-based guys. We've got deals with Eddie Gilbert, his family.
Awesome.
Bruiser Brody.
Awesome.
Terry Funk. Sabu. Jake the Snake Roberts. The Headhunters. And I can tell you this, we've got probably 75 other guys lined up, from like legends to current guys. We're going to be working with everybody.
You mentioned Bruiser Brody. We've got Barbara coming on the show March the 16th.
Awesome.
Yeah, Barbara Goodish will be with us.
She's awesome.
Will talent will independent wrestlers be able to contact you to be able to get their T-shirts sold through you?
100%. We're going to be doing that as well. We're going to have indie wrestlers on the website. We're even going to make T-shirts if guys need designs. The guy who's doing my partner, my partner Shane. He's one of the greatest artists of all time when it comes to wrestling designs, and his work is amazing. And he's going to be doing. If you guys are a wrestler and they need a T-shirt made, tell us what you want, and Shane will draw it up and kabang.
I will make you guys. I will make sure that I pitch that down here with Vanguard Championship Wrestling, VCW down here. And
Jeff is Jeff is head of security for Vanguard Championship Wrestling in Virginia.
Yeah,
and he'll give you the hookup for that.
I want to say we may have brought Rob in or RF in for one or two of our shows, or at least they had a merch table there.
Oh, cool.
No, I'll be more than happy to plug your T-shirt company to the boys because they're always looking for somewhere to get a good deal, somewhere to sell the shirts through. And we got a lot of guys that are coming up, that we're affiliated with, from Gino, who was down there with Booker T, who's now in MLW. Gino's his name. And then, I can't even think of the kid's name. Jordan Oliver. He's another one that we got.
Jordan.
Amazing talent, man. That kid's got sky's the limit.
Yeah, Jordan's going to be on the show too.
Yeah,
We got Jordan coming on.
He's in England.
Oh.
He's in England this weekend for the first time.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so you got your t-shirt company. Now, what is any big shoots coming up that you got?
We are doing actually, let me plug Icons of Wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's April the 11th with Kurt Angle, and that website is thecollectorfest.com. I forgot about that. So
Okay.
That's big.
yeah, we are going to be doing new shoot interviews. We just did one right before he went to NXT. Literally like 2 nights. Well, actually, it was MLW Saturday. He did our interview at like 4 a.m. on Sunday, and then he went to WWE on Monday. So we just did Killer Cross.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's on our website. And we're going to be doing a lot of interviews coming up with some other guys that we're bringing into our convention. So it should be pretty good.
That's
Beautiful.
awesome. So,
Well, it sounds like you're a busy dude.
Too busy. Great.
Holy.
I need to go back to Hawaii and hang out with Don Morocco.
Yeah, right?
and live on island time, right?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I want to thank you for sharing your time and your knowledge with us. Jeff, what do we got for Vanguard? What's going on in Vanguard
March the 14th,
Championship
we got
Wrestling?
Yeah, March the 14th, we got at Hampton High School a fundraiser for the Hampton Crabbers, the high school, and we're bringing in the one, the only Sergeant Slaughter is our special guest,
Awesome.
and we will be having Brandon Scott taking on Gino for the VCW heavyweight title. And then it's going to be a fun night. We always have a good time. That's March the 14th. You could go to vcw-wrestling.com for all your ticket info, or Vanguard Championship Wrestling on Facebook, and that's where you can find us.
And how can they reach Jeff the Ref?
You can find me over at JeffRob41977. I'm on. That is me on Twitter. I'm there. I like to tweet a lot.
Yes, he does too. He ain't bullshitting.
And I'm also on Facebook. As I tell people, you can find me through our website, the Wrestling with the Future website, or Facebook page. I'm on there. I'm always tagged. Find me, add me. I'll go ahead and talk to you. So,
Yep.
go ahead.
All right. And you can, I gotta take care of my man Jaden. Gotta take care of Jaden. Dog Pro Wrestling. It's Big Trouble in Little Egg Harbor. And that will benefit the Edward Thornton Community Center in Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey, February 29th. Breaker Morant will defend his title. Vinny the Fixer and Patch will defend their tag team titles. There'll be a bunch of surprises. Again, that's going to benefit the Edward Thornton Community Center in Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey, February 29th. Go to dogprowrestling.com. All the info is on the website. If you want to find us, we're easy. Just Yahoo us or Google Wrestling with the Future. Find us on Facebook at Wrestling with the Future. We are on Twitter at Wrestling Future. And we are on YouTube, Wrestling with the Future. You can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Podbay, and the fillings in your teeth. We're all over the place. We're like horse shit. We're everywhere.
Anywhere you can download a podcast, you can find us.
And thank you, fans, for 352,719 downloads as of right now.
There we go. All right. That is
So, on behalf of Wrestling with the Future, thank you once again to Rob Feinstein, RFVideo, Jeff F. Robinson. I'm Psychic Medium Angelo. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week, and happy wrestling, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.